Who do you main? This is a question I get asked all the time, but is it actually good to have a main operator? Well, that sort of depends. Some ops are fantastic to play on every site and against any other ops. Their abilities and loadouts are just always super useful. Then there's ops like Montagne, who are great on some sites, but definitely should not be played all the time. That's why today I'm making a Rainbow Six operator usefulness tier list, so you'll know which ops can be played all the time while being super effective, and others who are more situational and picking them every round is just going to put you at a disadvantage, causing you to lose more. First up, we got Sledge. Up to 90% of rounds, Sledge is good. So 9 out of 10 times, Sledge is going to be a solid pick. I wouldn't say 100% because, like, in that 10% of other rounds, like, either it's a site that you're not working vertical pressure, so it's like a top floor site. Like let's take the kids bomb site on Oregon, for example. There's nothing really that you're sledging on this site. The grenades, yeah, you can nade through the floor, but you can do that with other ops better, right? Next up, we got Thatcher. In general, ranked, in every other rank, Thatcher's going to be good, like 100% of the time, because I think that, like, every other rank relies hard on wall denial to win the defenses. Whereas in, like, Champ Diamond, it's like you're going to get the wall open no matter what. You're going to find a way to open that wall. But outside of that, it's going to be, Thatcher's going to be, like, your main man. He's banned like all the time because everybody hates him, because that's the way everyone plays in pretty much every rank. So we're going to land him at the 100% of rounds. Thatcher is going to be a good pick. Another easy 100% of rounds. Smoke is so versatile. You can anchor with him. You can roam with him. You can make all the site setup. He is never going to be not useful. He's never going to be not good. Every single site, in my opinion, just one of the best ops in the game right now. Like, top 3 ops in the game, hands down. Mute, I would say 90% when Thatcher is not banned, but Thatcher is literally always banned, so I'm going to also put him at 100%. And there's never a site where you would pick Mute and I would go, dude, why are you picking Mute? Unless it was like Thatcher is completely owning his ass. But besides that, Mute's 100%, 100p. Moving on, we have Thermite. If this list were only about Clubhouse, he would be, like, you could run Thermite on every side on Clubhouse. Unfortunately, it is not. But there's a lot of walls on a lot of maps that are just much safer and much easier to get with the ranged breachers, which is where Ace and Hibana would come in. Or just there's multiple walls and one's a ranged breach and one's not, and picking the Thermite just makes less sense. So Thermite, I would say up to like 50% of rounds picking up makes sense. The next FBI agent, Ash. I would say you should probably play Ash all the time. Ash is always a great pick. No, Ash is garbage. Never play Ash, guys. Ash is trash. It rhymes for a reason, because it's true. If it rhymes, it's true. Okay, listen up. We got Zofia over here, and Zofia is just better Ash, first of all. 2 impacts and 2 stunts, right? And the LMG. And Ash's gun has been nerfed into oblivion. The only thing that really makes sense to pick her anymore is the G36 for a 1.5. And if you're picking Ash for that reason, you're probably terrible. What else does Ash have? 2 breaching charges and 2 Ash charges, okay? So if you're bringing the Ash charges to actually, like, destroy shields, destroy utility, it makes 0 sense, because you could bring anyone with nades to the exact same jobs, and the nades are lethal. I've talked about Ash a lot. I've talked about how I don't like Ash a lot. My point still stands. Stop playing Ash. Our Ash is garbage. Okay, Pulse is actually pretty good. Pulse is pretty good. I think I could justify playing Pulse 3 out of 4 rounds, but I think it's more like half the time, right? We don't want to be playing Pulse more than 50% of the time. That's what this is saying. Playing him 25% of the time, 30% of the time, 40% of the time, that's all right. That's okay. 25 though. Playing him more, yeah, you're right. You guys are right. 25%. You guys are right. 25%. If you're picking Pulse 2 out of 4 rounds, like, you're actually kind of trolling, because you're bringing the ump half the time, and that's probably not the move with the 1.0. Like, you're right. Okay, we'll leave it at 25, guys. Okay, next up we have Castle. Dude, I am so convinced that you could run Castle on every single site and make him viable in ranked. In ranked. You could run him on every site and make him viable. But I won't do that. I will put him at 75. 75. We can accept 75 on that, right? Castle strats can make sites confusing, especially if they're not running a Sledge. I mean, if they're running Sledge every site, bringing Castle, probably not great. Now, attackers are, if they're good at the game, probably just going to break all your castles, but that will waste time, that will waste utility, and Castle is really solid pick for barricades. He has even faster setup times now. He has a shotgun for site setup, so I think 75 is a good spot for him. There are very, very few sites where Montagne is good. That's why I'll put him at 10%. I wouldn't say never run Montagne. Like, there are good Montagne strategies you can use on some sites. I wouldn't put him any higher than 10%. Like, you really only want to be playing Monty 1 out of every 10 rounds. If you're a Monty main, you need to find a new hobby or some friends. Twitch is good. Twitch is very good. Twitch is a very good operator. There's pretty much, or Twitch drones are pretty much always going to be impactful, right? You're going to either find traps, ADSs, Goyos, more traps, a lot of traps, Womidis, etc. Her gun's really good, so even if you aren't finding stuff with her Twitch drone, her gun is still really good. Now, that being said, I feel like there are other operators that utility is just better than the Twitch drones. The biggest downside is that her utility is not that good. It's always going to be viable. Like, her Twitch drones are always going to be useful in some sense, but the impact of her Twitch drones is not that good. So yeah, 75. We'll go 75 with Twitch. Then we got Doc. And then we got Rook. Okay, so moving on to Fuse. No, well, I guess we'll talk about Doc and Rook a little bit. So Doc makes 0 sense to run. The only time I would play Doc is if you're absolutely obsessed with getting extra health and Thunderbird's banned. Because Thunderbird is just way better. The only reason I want to put him higher than this is because I know that a lot of people have really bad aim in ranks, in a lot of ranks. And keep in mind, we are trying to do most of the ranks here, trying to incorporate most of the ranks. And I know that a lot of people actually really like having the extra armor. But if we're talking actual usefulness, like, I just cannot justify picking Rook. There's just other ops that bring so much more info and utility and are just better. Okay, let's talk about my boy Fuse. I think Fuse, you could run him 1 every 4 rounds. So Oreos thinks we should put him in the 10%. But I think Oreos is a Fuse hater. Theoretically, you could use Fuse on every basement site with soft floors. That doesn't mean he's going to be good on every basement site with soft floors, but he's also good at clearing utility from windows. I like to use Fuse on the gen window of the Kids Bomb site on Oregon to get off Cades, ADSs from White, mute jammers. So I think we'll leave Fuse at 25%. But I can see why we would put him at 10, but I'm gonna choose to put him at 25. Moving on to Tachanka. I think Tachanka's pretty bad on most sites. Yeah, I would say 10%. I would say 10% strictly because his ability is not that great unless it's very specific spots. Like Oreo said, he is very good. He's a very good 10%er. Those rounds that you are picking Tachanka for those powerful spots to use him or those really good sites to use him, I would say that's when he's actually very good. So like the Villa site, for example, Villa Aviator is a site that Tachanka is great on. That Maps Table plant and that Vault plant, and you can use the Tachanka fire to stall the plant on that site for so long. And that's already a site that takes a while to clear across if they are going for that Maps plant. You can use his flames on main stairs there as well. So Tachanka is very, very good on this site. But there's not many sites like that Tachanka is super, super good on. I don't think Glaz is like never use them. I think it's just like up to 10%. I would say if you're using Glaz 1 every 10 rounds, you're probably using him too much still. You can still justify using him up to 10% of the time. No. He's not 1%, bro. He is not 1%. There's nobody does what Glaz does. You can do... Guys, you guys are being ridiculous right now. 1%... Glaz is uniquely good. Okay, listen up. I'll put him at 1% because you guys are all haters. But I will be making a Glaz video to prove to you guys that Glaz is not completely useless. You know what? I'm going to put him at 10%. Just because I wouldn't say up to 10%. I'd probably say up to like 5%. Like not less than 1%, but like I would say 5%. Like once every 20 rounds, maybe every 30 rounds, you can bust out a Glaz and it actually be good. Let me know what you guys think. He's a 1% or a 10%. Drop it in the comments of the YouTube video because this is on YouTube now. He's at 10% for me. He's at 10% because, you know, you guys are haters. Let's move on to Kapkan. I'm thinking 50% of the time. You can run Kapkan even if they know you're running Kapkan and he's still nasty. Kapkan is good in every rank, including Champ, including Diamond, including Plat. When I solo queued, I used to solo queue and only play Kapkan because he was like the only person I could use well. I could really only justify using him like half the time. I don't think I could justify using Kapkan on every single site, but I think that he is a very strong operator. And yeah, run some Kapkan, guys, because I personally just want to run into some more Kapkan traps. Next up, we got Blitz. I think you should bring Blitz every single round of every single game because Blitz is the best operator in the game ever. Ever. All right, moving on, we got IQ. So, okay, of course I'm joking. You shouldn't be running Blitz all the time. I would say you could run him 10% of the time, but he's better than Montagne. I could say you could run Blitz 1 every 4 rounds in ranked, but North American ranked is the most aggressive, non-utility using, stupid shit you've ever seen. And when you have a solo roamer and you're running at them with Blitz, they are done. They are dead. Bro, Blitz is so good. At least when I play Blitz, he's always so good. It causes chaos. It scrambles the defense. Most people don't even know how to counter him. So if they're not countering him, you just keep running them. And you just keep smoking people. Bro, Blitz is actually... If you're running Blitz 1 every 4 rounds, first of all, you're... okay, no, I can't... No, you're trolling if you're running Blitz 1 every 4 rounds. This IQ is a tough one because... Let's put it this way. Valkyrie is banned very, very often, like all the time in high ranks. But in lower ranks like Plat, Gold, Cade is always banned along with Mira. So it's either Valk Mira in the high ranks or it's Cade Mira in pretty much all the other ranks or up like down to Gold. I think that IQ is literally only good when Valk is up because everything else is very counterable with just drones. And I have so many teammates that pick IQ when Valkyrie is banned. And I'm like, dude, it makes no sense. Like, I'm preferring my teammates to pick Amaru, who is, like, never a good option. But I'm still, like, saying, go Amaru. She has hard reach tools. She has SMG. She has a 2-time sight, I guess. You can fly into a window at the same time we hit the sight. Like, you can do stuff with Amaru. You can't do anything with IQ when Valk's banned. So Amaru's instantly gonna also join the less than 1%. Never really makes sense to run Amaru. Maybe 1 in 100 rounds when you want to go for that rush and do something dumb, like, sure, play Amaru. If you want to just have fun, sure, play Amaru. So Amaru is going to be in the less than 1%, and IQ is going to be in the maybe up to 10% of rounds. Amaru does have flashes in Can Opener and Gone 6, yes, but how many Amaru players do you know don't rush into the building in the first 10 seconds and die? Or rush into the building in the first 10 seconds and get 3 kills and then proceed to use their utility? I don't think I've ever seen anyone who plays Amaru use their utility, ever. Amaru is still okay. If your Amaru rush works 75% of the time, as in 3 out of 4 times you go in, get a bunch of kills, and you don't die, you get out, and you get to go play with your team after that and just have a straight man advantage right off the start, sure, play Amaru. But I'm pretty sure that when you're flying into the building with Amaru, you're not getting 2 kills or a kill and getting out of the building 3 out of 4 times, or even over 50% of the time. So realistically, you're probably gonna go in and die and then lose the round, which is just like you're just adding up failures. I can't justify putting Amaru anywhere else. Typically, I would put Bandit like way down here. Like in my last tier list, I put Bandit at just garbage tier because I didn't know that Cade is banned like all the time in these like gold plat lobbies. So with Cade being banned like so much, I think Bandit can probably be... I would probably normally put Bandit here. I'd put him like up to 10% of rounds. Maybe I'll put him at like a quarter of rounds. But like, no, I can't. No. Bro, okay, guys. This is how you counter Bandit. If Thatcher's banned, which he usually is, and Maverick is not banned, you walk up to the wall, Mav the bottom wall, and shoot the bandits off. You don't even need to waste a nade. Then you just open the wall. Bandit's just like really not a good pick. Because you could just be running other routes with way better utility. Like Smoke. Or Mute. Or Jaeger. There's not a single site that Jaeger is not good on. Any site, any round, against any ops, and I would not be mad. All right, let's talk about Buck. Buck is going to be pretty low. He doesn't have grenades. If he had grenades, I would put him way higher. There's a lot of spots that Buck is just not great on. I think most of the time, if you are bringing Buck, Sledge is usually the better option. Because most of the time, you're going to want Sledge for the nades. The only time you're really picking the Buck over the Sledge is if you want a Buck from underneath. All right, Frost is good. Frost is really good. Come on. Frost situation... Okay, no, Frost isn't this good. Frost mats are not going to be good on every site. That being said, Frost, I think, is a really good pick on sites that are Frost mats are good. The other thing about Frost you have to keep in mind is she has a shield and a shotgun. So she can do the site setup. She can put her shield down, which shields are just one of the strongest utilities right now. I think Frost is a little more versatile than most people think. So you can play her on roams. You can play her on site. You can put mats under windows. You can put mats in hallways with the grass and plants growing on the side, like Chalet Dining Hall. I saw TSM do that. I was like, man, that was sick. We'll leave Frost at the up to 25% rounds. If you're running Frost more than a quarter of the time, you're probably running her way too much. Blackbeard is always a good pick because he has shields, so he can take more like headshot damage. So like he's better than every op in that sense because he can get headshot in extra time, which nobody else can do. Blackbeard sucks ass, guys. Don't play Blackbeard. Blackbeard has no utility. He has flashbangs. His guns are garbage. His shields are like 20 health. They break with a single bullet. Like, the only time I'm picking Blackbeard is if I'm playing players that are literally the best aimers of all time, and I'm like, man, I need a Blackbeard shield to save me right now because I can't win a single gunfight for the life of me. And then I'm picking Blackbeard, and that never happens to me. So that's why he's at the bottom. All right, we got Valk. I would, if we're talking strictly like champion elo, high diamond elo, Valk, I would say you should probably be running all the time because it's very info intensive, very communicative, as in most people use their mics and talk to each other. But Valk is still really, really good op if you don't have those things. I don't think I could justify playing Valk all the time, but I think like if you're running Valk 9 out of 10 times when she isn't banned, like that makes sense. But yeah, you could run her up to 90% of the time and it'd be like an okay thing to do. Whereas if you're playing Blackbeard up to 90% of the time, this ain't right. This ain't okay. Now, I think Capitao is a seriously good operator, very underrated operator, but he's only really good on a few sites. Like, he's not good on every single site by any means. So I'm gonna say like 25% of the time. Then we got Cav. If you're playing Cav more than 1% of the time, you're probably like gold or lower ranked because like there's just way better roamers than Cav. Cav has no util, so she's not even bringing anything to the team. It's all your eggs in one basket, and the basket is the size of an acorn. Like, you're not getting much for what you're planning on. Cav is like Amaru if Amaru had shitty guns, you know? I'd say Hibana is a solid 75%er. Hibana is, like, in my opinion, the best hard breacher. Her utility is by far the best. But there are a lot of rounds where it's like you want bigger holes in Hibana. You want the ace or you want the thermite. Ace would be you want bigger holes at range. Thermite would be you want bigger holes on a wall that is not at range that you can open up fully. She's pretty much like the go-to hard breacher. Besides like Maverick, but typically you're running Mav and Hibana with each other. Ace is not better than Hib. Ace is good in his own ways. Let's talk about Ace since we're on the topic, I guess. We'll talk about Ace. I could say like 50% of the time for Ace. I like Ace's gun better. I think this is just personal preference, whether you like Hibana's gun better or Ace's gun better. I think the AK is a bit better, does more damage. I find the recoil not challenging at all, and I find actually Hib's gun harder to control recoil. He doesn't have the flashes, though. That's the big thing with Ace, is like he does not have the flashes to burn. You can't make any plays with the flashes. But the other thing Ace can do is he can breach a lot faster than Hibana. So a lot of time his aces will actually open up where Hibana's won't. So like a bandit trick or a Cade trick, like Ace is going to be the best way to avoid that. And you can also get like shields with the Ace charges. You can just toss them at floors. It's very quick to deploy them. So there are a lot of positives to Ace, but those flashes are just a big downside. Also the hatches. You need two aces for a hatch, whereas you only have 3. So you can't even open two hatches with Ace. And while we're on the topic of hard breachers, I guess we'll do Mav as well. He's not typically a typical hard breacher, but he's the only one that has grenades. And he has no counter. You can open any wall with Mav. It doesn't, except for range ones. That is the downside. You can't open like the range ones like Hib or Ace. Every exterior wall that's bandited or caded, if you are playing Maverick properly, you can justify playing him 100% of the time. Even if it's a site that you don't have to blowtorch anything, his gun is still nasty and his nades are still nasty. Sure, you could repick off of him to someone better like Yana or Finka, but Finka and Yana are also just the best. So usually you already have 2 of them. I can justify, if you played Mav every single round all the time, I would not be bad whatsoever. Okay, let's talk about Finka. Finka is just the best for destruction right now. She has gone 6. She has 2 nades, making her instantly better than Ash. Then she has her ability, which is just disgusting. She has an LMG. There's never not a good time to run Finka. She is overall just like one of the best attackers right now, straight up. A lot of you guys are saying Yana 90% of the time, just because sometimes you don't need the extra clones. You don't need the extra info. Oh, she has 2 nades and a gone 6 though. Oh, guys, we forgot. She is one of the best clearers in the game. That's right. Oh, unfortunate. Even if you're not using a clone, she's still the best. Is there ever a bad time to run Echo? Hell yeah, dude. There is bad times to run Echo. I'd say Echo is probably good like 25% of the time, but very, very good at that 25%. If you're using him properly and using him well, Echo on like a quarter, if you're running Echo a quarter of the time, like that's cool with me. If you're running Echo half the time, you're probably running on some sites that he's not really doing much, but the Echo drones are always very, very strong. And the 25% I think is a solid fit. I wouldn't put him any lower, but I probably also wouldn't put him any higher. Jackal, but how often should you actually bring him when he's not banned? Probably maybe a quarter of rounds. You know, whether it's a roam or you're just having trouble droning, or whatever it may be, bringing the Jackal, switching onto him occasionally is usually a pretty good move. Most of the time, you don't need him. Jackal's really only effective when you're tracking down a roamer, pinching that roamer, and killing the roamer while saving a bunch of time from not wasting the time to drone that roamer. But a lot of the takes people do are direct takes onto site anyway. Think of Clubhouse. You go kitchen, you go dirt, you open the kitchen hatch, you push for site. You don't really need Jackal if you just watch the kitchen hall flank. Most of the time, you aren't like doing these full clears where Jackal is actually going to be able to track someone down. You guys are pinching them together and like actually doing something with it. So I can't really justify bringing him more than a quarter of the time, because most of the time you're simply not using him properly if you are bringing him, because of the fact that you're not actually clearing the roam. I think you could always bust open a mirror strat, whether it's you're doing a mirror roam, you throw it on a random ass wall. I do this all the time when mirror's not banned. It works. There's a reason Mira's banned all the time. She is so strong. Literally every site you can play Mira. I don't care. I don't care. Name one site, chat. Name one site you think Mira is not good at, and I will come up with a Mira strat off the top of my head where I will use Mira effectively. Third floor consulate. Put a Mira facing admin. Put a Mira facing break. They can no longer do an admin push. They have to do a yellow take. Oregon top floor. You put a Mira facing attic and kids. You put a Mira facing big window and kids. Canal kayaks. I use Miras here all the time. Actually, you can put one in the trench closet. Leave the wall soft. Put it crouch. You can peek over the Mira for that trench door. And then you can put one facing kayaks. Now, they probably are going to take above and open them from above, but it still forces them to take above and waste their time. And if they don't take above, they're going to lose the round because of the Miras. Like, Mira is so strong, guys. So strong. Even though you're not always going to be able to get kills off the Miras are still pressuring the attackers into doing specific tasks that if they don't do, they will lose. I think Ying's really strong in that sense. Like, you can use Ying on every site, and nobody really plays Warden. Playing Ying 25% of the time, though, is probably too much. I honestly want to put Lesion as, like, never play Lesion because there's just so many better trap ops. But I know you guys would all whine if I did that. I just find that, like, a lot of the time when people play Lesion, I just am wishing that they brought somebody else. He can be good for, like, a roam because he can give you the info around where you're playing. When you're solo roaming is when you would play Lesion. Besides that, play Melusi, play Ella. I think they're, like, really all the other trap operators are just better. Maybe except for Thorn. Thorn's also pretty good. Like, Thorn and Lesion I'd put on the same level, but, like, they are the bottom of the trap ops, in my opinion. Thorn is... Dude, if you're running Thorn a quarter of the time, you are actually selling. Because I'm thinking Thorn should be, like, never play Thorn, because Ella traps are just so much better than Thorn. I think Thorn traps are just garbage. Ella mines, though, they can't see or hear, and they're instant disorientation. Yeah, Thorn traps can kill people. Yeah, if they're friggin' idiots. When have you ever died to a Thorn trap and not been like, oh my fucking god, dude, I died to a Thorn trap? I'm a freaking idiot. Because that's me every time I died to a Thorn trap. I'm like, I can't believe I died to a fucking Thorn trap. I fucking suck. That being said, they are good info. In the same sense, Elemines are good info, except that they're better. Sure, they can kill people, but really, if they kill someone, it's not the fact that you place a good Thorn trap. It's the fact that they suck. Yeah, Ella's not going to be at 25. Ella's going to be 10%. She's not good on every site. So, like, her traps aren't always going to be super useful. And Melusi wubs are going to be a lot stronger. The wubs are bulletproof utility that force the attackers to use other utility or slow down, turn around and shoot them, and actually forces them to achieve a task before they can get past them. Whereas the Elemines is just like, they hit the Elemine, they can just continue looking forward. They walk into a Melusi wub, they have two options. They turn around and shoot it while they're exposed, or they waste utility on it beforehand. So it's like, Melusi is very strong. Melusi's good on pretty much every site, so I'm going to put Melusi up to 90% of rounds. I don't think she's someone you should be running 100% of the time, but like 90% of the time running Melusi, yeah, we cool with that. Next up, we got Zofia. Right now, it's like Finka, Yana are just better because they have 3 explosives, whereas Zofia only has 2. You could run her like half the time and it'd be okay. If you're running her like every single round, I'm going to be like, you should probably bring nades. Like, nades are just better. They kill people. But she is self-sufficient in the fact that she can burn utility and clear utility herself. So there are a lot of sites where she's good. There's a lot of sites where she's just not as good. So I would say like half the time you're running Zof, that's all right. Dokkaebi, honestly, I think is super underrated, and I think people just think she sucks. But Dokkaebi is super good against solo roams and roamers in general. Like, it should be priority number 1 with Doke to go find the roamer, kill the roamer, and hack the phones, and take all the defenders' cameras, because that is brutally strong. Jackal's still going to be better for the roam clears, because most of the time you would be picking this Jackal over the Dokubi. It's really when you want to combo the two together on like a big roam, or like you want to hunt down a single roamer, you combo them together. But like usually you're going with the Jackal over the Doke, so the Dokubi is a little more situational than the Jackal would be. Vigil's one of the best roamers. Like, if you're running Vigil 75% of the time, I can't be mad. Because Vigil is a really, really strong roamer. Even when he's not roaming, he's still very, very strong. The only reason I put him lower is because a lot of people don't drone in ranked. Like, if I'm saying Diamond, I would say play Vigil up to 90% is cool. But if we're saying like Gold Plat, half the time is probably max you want to play him. So I think he varies among these three because of the difference in the level of droning that varies across ranked ranks, which is why we're going to throw him at 75. Lion in ranked. I'm going to say only 10%. I don't think you should be running Lion more than Dokubi, really. Most ranks, your Lion isn't even going to be good because Lion's only good comboed off drones or Jackal scans. You know what? Let's make a new tier. We're going to do a 5%. Amaru can go up, okay, guys? You're welcome. Happy. Glaz can go down. I agree. 100%. Montagne goes down. Thorn is going down, okay? I think that's good. Maybe Blitz. Lesion, yes. I think we're going to leave IQ here because, again, Valk is up a lot in middle lower ranks. No, I think Lesion because of the fact you can solo roam super, super well with him, he should stay at 10%. I think Alibi is really solid. I'd say a quarter of the time. Anything higher, probably not. She's got a shield. She's got the bailiff, so she can make pulls, rotates, the setup, the shield. The prisms are really good under windows, but there's a lot of times where you're on sites that maybe the prisms just aren't super ideal. The same way Frost is at 25% here. I personally think like Frost and Alibi are kind of interchangeable in the sense. Rather than getting the Frost mount, you're getting the pings. Frost is probably just a bit better overall, but if you want the 1.5, you can run the Alibi instead. They're equally situational in my opinion. Maestro used to be really good when utility meta was a thing. I think now he's probably also around like the 25%, maybe 50, because of the fact you can shock a lot of drones. He's really good for sites because you can use his info to nitro plant. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't use him 50% of the time. I'd probably say 25%. Nobody plays Clash, and the people that do play Clash are the same people that typically ban Clash. I personally think that Clash could be run 100% of the time. No, I'm kidding. Clash is pretty shit. 10%. Theoretically, there are a few sites where Clash will be good. Not only is she very, like, off meta, so she kind of, like, it messes with people. If you run a Clash, it messes with the attackers, right? If you're running her any more than 10%, like, you probably should learn how to play operators with guns. Because, like, realistically, having 5 guns is usually just better than having 4 guns and a shield. So I'm going to put her at 10. How often should you run Nomad, guys? Okay, if we were talking about people that everyone knows how to drone and hold flank drones and work really well, aka competitive, I would say maybe like 10% of the time. But nobody really knows how to do that in ranked. And I say if you're running Nomad half the time, you're probably okay. You're probably okay running Nomad half the time. Very, very strong right now. This is pre-Nomad nerf. She is getting nerfed, which is why I would not put her any higher. We're going to go off of the nerf that's coming out, which is reduces the time to 1.25 seconds of downtime, I think, once you get hit by it, from like 2 seconds or 2.5. A lot of the time, you don't need the Nomad charges. You can just watch the flank. I don't think there's a single site that Cade is not good, but I'm going to put him at 90%, actually. Cade is banned all the time, and especially in lower elos, but he's not banned all the time in Diamond and Champ, and that is because we have very good Maverick players in Champion and Diamond Elo. And if you want to become one of those Maverick players, go watch my Maverick guide on YouTube, because Maverick is super, super good. And Cade gets worse with the better Mavericks you play against. If you're running him 9 out of 10 rounds, I would not complain, because Cade is nasty. The reason to bring Cade is to slow down teams with Mav, right? It's a very big time stall with Cade. If you are a good Cade player, you put your Cades in spots that Callie cannot get them. Nobody plays Callie in high ranks because of the fact that most people know in the higher ranks that Cade cannot be countered by Callie if you're placing your Cade charge right. I think Gridlock is really bad. Now, I'm not sure how to work with the Nomad nerf. Like, Gridlock might just be the better flank watch now. She's good for executes because her tracks are really loud and she has the smokes. Realistically, like, just not a good pick. She doesn't provide a lot for the team. Even if you're using her Gridlocks for flanks, you still have to be actively watching it or else they're still going to just flank you. Think of it this way. If I'm a defender and I see a Gridlock track set down, I'm going to shoot all the Gridlocks and just flank, like, between 30 seconds to a minute later. So that way they do have to actively watch the flank. Whereas with the Nomad, I can't go up as a defender and shoot the Nomad, run away, and come back later. You can't do that because the Nomads are very difficult to shoot. You're probably going to either get shot while trying to do it or get hit by the air jab. So it's a lot riskier to sprint into an air jab, get flown across the room, and try to get away before dying compared to shooting all the tracks from a little bit back and running away and coming back later, right? I feel like Mozzie's on the same level as Vigil. Like, he is also info denial, but Vigil is much more heavier info denials, and like Vigil's much harder to track down as an attacker, but Mozzie can take the info he's denied and use it against the attackers better than Vigil can. But at the same time, he can't hide as well as Vigil can. But at the same time, he can hack drones and shoot drones, so he's killing more drones than Vigil is. But at the same time, he can die a little easier because he doesn't have the Vigil scan. Like, I think they're just even. I think Mozzie and Vigil, if you're running Mozzie 75% of the time, that's fine. How often we play in the knock, boys? I'm thinking we always on the knock, baby. We always hitting the knock rush, boys. We always sneaking into bank garage as knock. That's pretty much the only time I use knock. I would say maybe like 5% of the time. The best of the 5%ers. Knock is very, very good. She has nades, which is the biggest thing. She has nades and she is very sneaky and she's a big playmaker. But running her more than 5% of the time, you're probably just going to get messed up. And if you are picking her for nades, literally every other nade operator is a better choice. Sledge, Mav, Yana, Finka. Naka's very, very situational, but very, very, very strong. I think I'm gonna move her up, actually. I think Goyo is new, and a lot of people don't understand him very well. You have to keep in mind, attackers can also shoot the Goyos. So finding spots where you can put the Goyos down, where attackers can't shoot them, can actually be really challenging. It can actually be really hard to find like sites or areas where you can use the Goyos effectively, which is why I kind of put them on the same level as Tachanka. Like, take the bank basement, for example. You put them by like the default plan stuff and they open the site hatch, they can simply shoot all the Goyos. They're not going to actually, you're not going to achieve that time delay. Like, yeah, you'll get the 20-second stall, but it's going to be in the middle of the round rather than the last 20 seconds of the round. Maybe 1 out of every 10 sites, Goyo is like a really good pick, you know? Warden is good against flashbangs and smoke grenades. Maybe 1 out of 20 rounds where you actually need it. I wouldn't say it's less than 100. Like, I don't think it's 1 out of 100 rounds people use smokes, grenades, or people use Ying. So I think Warden is very situational, but he is very, very strong in those situations. If you're running Warden like 5% of the time, like that's okay. And even then, like, if they're running Ying and smokes and stuff and you're bringing Warden, they see you have Warden and they switch off, at least you're not dealing with that anymore. If Callie had a gun instead of a sniper, she would actually be so good. Not so good, but pretty decent. I think Callie's a very rare commodity, especially with Mav being up all the time. Mav is just like, you don't need Callie. Her gun's kind of, like, her sniper kind of sucks. Callie's good if Kate is banned, I guess. Usually, you're going to want to just be picking Mav in, like, some sort of soft breach to open the Mav hole that he makes. Callie's overrated AF, in my opinion. Put Warden bottom tier because of attacker repick? No. Because if you don't bring Warden and they're bringing Ying, smokes, Monty, they're doing smoke Ying plants on top. If you don't bring Warden, they will continue doing it. If you do bring Warden, at least, yeah, sure, they're attacker repicking, but they're attacker repicking into stuff that is beatable. I think Wamai is on the same level as Jaeger, guys. I think Wamai is like arguably maybe even better than Jaeger, but like there's never a bad time to play Wamai. Sorry, yes, there is times where Jaeger's more useful, but there's times where Wamai is more useful. There's times where stacking 380Ss on a single shield is the move, but there's times where hiding Wamai discs to catch off like impacts or grenades from underneath or whatever it may be, like hiding Wamai is also super strong. Wamai is good on every site hands down and against pretty much everyone. I can't really see a downside to picking Wamai, so I could say if you run Wamai 100% of the time, like, you're good to go. And the Capital counter, that as well, yes, completely forgot about that, but yeah. The only time I would say you should like switch off Wamai is like if you need more traps or you already have Jaeger. Fuck, I love Oryx, man. But I feel like if I put him above Thorn, I would be wrong. This is why you can run Oryx more than Thorn, okay? because he is the only operator that can move around super, super fast, we can justify the fact that we're running him 1 out of 10 rounds. But yeah, he's a lot of fun too. And he can jump with the hatches, so he can't go for the flanks. Like, there's a lot that orcs can do that nobody else can, and that's maybe why he's a little higher than some of the other people. All right, then we got Zero. I love Zero. But realistically, Zero is like best on Chalet and Bank. In every other map, you're probably going to need other ops besides Zero. If you're running Zero 1 every 4 rounds, maybe, that'd be all right. Aruni is good. Aruni's good. She does have that bionic fist, so she can do some crazy roams, like opening hatches quick and stuff. You can do some pretty crazy stuff on a roam with her. She is very, very good in that 50% of rounds. I would say like half the time there's better ops to pick than Aruni. What are we thinking, guys? What are we thinking about the Flores? Where are we putting the Flores, boys? I think 50 is fair. Flores is great. Really, really strong. Self-sufficient, clearing utility. Mute is played pretty often, though, so that's going to cancel him out because the mute's kind of just ruin his career. I would almost put him in 75, except for the fact that, like, a lot of the time you're playing against teams that aren't even running the utility that Flores is going to be able to clear anything. Like, sometimes you pick Flores and you're like, damn, like, you just can't find shit to blow up, or you just can't, like, get your drones in, they shoot your drones, whatever. Like, sometimes, like, you just play Flores and you get absolutely nothing achieved with your drones. So pick him, like, half the time, usually pretty good. Anything more than that, no. 25, if you're using him 25, 30%, 40% of the time, that's fine. If you're using him 60, 75, like, you're still picking him, you're probably picking him more often than you actually need him for. Thunderbird 100. 100? The idea of having a Thunderbird on my defense every round, I'm like, okay, but it's a little disturbing, especially because she can't overheal now. Like, sure, you can heal up, whatever. She's okay. She's pretty good. It's very not often that I'm in a situation where I'm like, man, I could really use a Thunderbird right now. I'd say probably a quarter of the rounds, or maybe 50. Maybe 50. What about Osa? What do we think about Osa, huh? I'm thinking 10 or 25 as well. I'm swaying more towards the 10% of the time. 1 every 10 rounds. The thing about Osa is, if you're running Osa every round, they're just going to start bringing impacts or nitros, and they're going to be ready for the Osa, and it's not going to be as effective after using her 1 or 2 times, right? So I'm thinking if you're running her 1 out of every 10 rounds, maybe for like some weird like Osa plant that you're going for, or you're playing her on a site that you know is like really good for like a repel with an Osa or whatever, that would be okay. How are we feeling about Azami? We are landing at what nobody said 90% of the time for Azami. Azami is so good. So good. That is a solid 90%. That is... I love Azami. I think Azami is nasty. Some sites, I guess, there's not really much spots to put them that are that good. If you're running Azami 90% of the time, I'd be like, hell yeah, dude. As long as you're putting them in good spots and playing her correctly, which if you need some tips on, I do have a full Azami guide on my YouTube channel if you want to get actually good. If you're playing Azami and you suck with her, probably don't play Azami.